There are certain things that we better not share with others, but sometimes over and interesting conversations, we don't really think twice before saying something, and we share a lot of the personal stuff. A friend of yours share his plans after the graduating. You find that interesting, and you start talking about your goals as well. Delightful conversation is something well all enjoyed having, but when we share certain things about ourselves, we might give the negative impressions about who we are. So there is here in this video we will talk about three things that you probably should never talk about unless you really have to. The first one is your problems. When we go through something difficult, we feel the urge to speak out, to take it out of our hearts, to tell someone about what we are going through. Because many of us find it difficult to control our emotions. By expressing yourself, you feel like you are getting rid of all this negatively. But in reality, you are making things worse because that often makes you appear weak, unable to take responsibility for your life. In fact, over time, that turns into the habit of the complaining. We create a negative atmosphere around us that no one really enjoys behind around. Part of that is over time we start complaining about everything without realizing how creepy we sound. We start complaining about that guy who wasn't kind enough in the shop, the waiter who was a little rude, or what friend who borrowed money from you and then disappeared. A friend of mine got himself to the point where he literally now complains about the way people dress. Of course, sharing your problems once in a while isn't a big deal, especially when we go through serious problems. But make sure you don't do it with the people who you know can help you in one way or another. Either by directly talking actions or giving a good piece of advice. Secondly, gossiping, we all agree that gossiping is bad, but for some strangers reasons we do it all the time, and it seems like people have accepted gossiping as the bad thing, that it's not the bad to do. But gossiping it's only bad because you are talking behind someone's backs, but rather how it make you appear in the front of others. When you're spreading bad news about a friend, for example, it gives the impression that you are insecure about yourself. You need to put someone else down in order to make yourself feel good. It might not seem to you like that when you're gaping, but that's how others view it. A person with high self-esteem would never gossip. They have more important things to talk about. That's just the part of the story. The other part is gossiping is the solid proof that you are not trustworthy. You are not someone with whom people would want to share their personal lives. There is a fun fact: the person among your friends who never gossiping or doesn't speak often in one who knows everyone director's secret because everyone trusts to him to share their difficulties. They are like the psychologists in every gap. And lastly, try to talk about your achievements. What do you want to say to a person who talks about his great achievements? What a jerk you are. Shut up your mouth. Achievements are great, they are what makes your life meaningful, but let your achievements speak for themselves. If they are big enough, people are going to notice them and talk about them. In fact, they would admire you because actions speak louder than words. But the moments you start bragging and telling everyone of what a cool guy you are, your achievements stop making any sense. You simply will appear like the egoistic douchebags. You will make people jealous. Some will respect you, and you will create unnecessary conflicts. In fact, if you have really achieved something, you won't feel to share it because you have already to that deep internal satisfactions. In short, sharing your problems makes you appear weak. Gossiping is a sign of the low self-esteem, and bragging will only devalue your achievements.